Hello, it's Erica of Arable Arts, and we're here for Sunday demo, but on Monday. I know I'm at a little bit of a weird angle because of the phone battery issue. I'm trying to get the phone plugged in, and so I've taken my tripod gooseneck and I've gone like this, and then I've got the phone on sort of the brace that you're supposed to use for the horizontal, but I've got it tipped vertically. But it doesn't quite go all the way, or it would, but then it would tip. We don't want that to happen. So the first thing I'm going to do probably in a second is see if I can tip you enough that you can actually see Sebastian here. And we'll see how it goes. I can tell the lighting is changing just as we get further and further into the fall. So let me quickly show you what we're going to use today. We've got this, which is some merino top I used for a couple of bats that was in the bat sale this weekend. I've got this bamboo that leans towards blue. It's called, it's a hard one because there's a lot of minims here. Anemone sea urchin. Got a little bit of this wool that was from, it's a wool top from, Brown Sheep Wool Company. Just Brown Sheep Company, sorry. I have to remember, it's the family name. Brown is their name. Okay. And then I've got two colors of, okay, this is Tussa Silk, and this is Mulberry Silk, which is going to also give bits of white, too. So that's the plan. So let me see how much I can actually tip you without, like, losing the phone. This may be harder than I thought it was. Will you stay like that is the question. Maybe if I pull you a little bit this way, don't get seasick. I think that's the best thing I will do. A little hard for me to get in, but I think that'll work. I was looking online, and at least according to Google, I can get a new battery. I had this issue, my last phone, December 2023, not even 2 years ago. I had the same issue with the phone where the battery was dying. And so I was down at a show in Coralville, and I went into a Smartphone Plus place. Well, first I went into a couple other, like, Batteries Plus and stuff like that. It's like, can I get a new battery? And they were like, no, we don't do that. And I went to the smartphone place. He's like, yeah, I can do that. I was like, just come back in a couple hours. And I come back in, and the guy was mortified. He was a fairly new employee. Then there's something you do with alcohol or something. And essentially what happened was he destroyed my phone screen. And it turns out that the phone I had was one that you really can't replace the battery on anyways. So that's why I have the phone I have now. I bought that to replace the one I could no longer use. But I was looking online, and it does say that you can put a new battery in this. And since everything else on the phone is working fine, it's not even 2 years old, I would like to keep this phone. Because also the pain of I know they do most of the shifting over, but then there's like, you have to figure out all the passwords again, because how I do my passwords, and Okay, so I think this is all I have of this. I'm just going to use little random bits on each level. I'm not going to use a huge amount of it. So we'll just randomly put it right there. Coordinates very well with those colors. And I love how the stripiness diffuses once you put it on here. So what have I been doing today? Did a bunch of Facebook stuff. Actually, yesterday I did a bunch of Facebook stuff. I made a whole bunch of events. That reminds me, I still have one more I have to make for my guild. My guild sale is about a month away. It's like the first weekend in November. So I need to make that event. I've been working on course descriptions. I don't know if you can see that sort of beige color there. This is the Tussa Silk, which tends to be that sort of honey colored. a little bit of this to pop it, because otherwise I think it would just not be, it would just be too subtle. I have no idea where the end is. There's an end. Hey. So it's pretty clear that, you know, there's white in the middle. It didn't dye. It's more of a tonal, I guess. And Sebastian's squeaking too. Heloise is asleep outside underneath the bat rack. Oh yeah, I like that. That's good. Put that back in the bag so I don't lose it. This is so light it will just fly away. So yes, I do have to make that event. Hopefully I will not forget by the time I get back ready to do more stuff. Reading through the requirements for the course proposals that I am going to submit. One I thought I had to turn in by snail mail, but it turns out I can just email her. So I will probably do 2 tonight. I am also... I really always wanted to go and vend at Estes Park in Colorado. It's the week after Hoosier Hills. So it would require driving back from Indiana and then driving out to Colorado, which is a bit of an undertaking. Oh, I've got the other green on. Not that it has to be on every level, but I think those applications are open. But the thing is, to do the one for Colorado, I have to go through the whole Colorado tax process thing, which honestly costs some money that I don't have right now. And I mean, I'll probably do it. I mean, I don't know if my application will get in time, but I thought maybe I would apply to teach. Go out and check it out. Because I still don't have enough Carters to be able to effectively do the day-long drum carting class. Because it really requires each student to have a drum carter. I don't like classes where like 2 people have to share the same piece of equipment, which is how I would have to set it up now. And I don't like that. But I do have my Approaches to Spinning Art Bats class, which is the one I'm going to submit to Fiber U. And then I have my, the new one that I've developed that is, it's a sampling class. It's exploring cellulose fibers. And so I have that one. That's also initially I taught it as a 6-hour class, you know, morning and afternoon type thing. But one of the things we figured out was that's actually too long. And not because people don't want to, you know, spin the fibers. It's the cellulose fibers are so hard on your hands. They don't have the give that you get from wool. And so it actually, you know, it starts to hurt your hands. And so I think limiting it to 3 hours, I would also have to sort of limit the fibers I do. But that's another one I'm working on, and that I think I would submit. Also, so there's Fiber U, and then there is Midwest Fiber Festival, where I've been accepted as a vendor, but they have classes on Friday, so I could teach on Friday. And so theoretically, I could teach one in the morning and one in the afternoon. They both would be 3 hours, and so I think that's the plan. Put that one in the middle. We have some over here. We have some over here. Put that one in the middle there. I think there's one other place. And eventually I will submit them to Michigan as well. Michigans aren't due for another month. But, I could actually, get something done ahead of time. Fancy that! Yes, I know he's noisy. I'm liking the way the colors are working on this bat. Other things I've done today is got all of the camping items. I'll be camping at my next show. So I've got all of... Okay, this is twisted somewhere. When you pull and it won't give, that means there's a twist somewhere. Because it's... And particularly silk, where it's such a long staple. If you twist it even a little bit, it sort of gets... You can't break it apart. It's strong. So I got my camping stuff in the van. My suitcase is almost all packed. I did a wash of pants and shorts, so I'm waiting for those to dry. And once they're done, I'll pack that. My suitcase will be done. And I figured out all the dry food or the non-refrigerated food for the trip. I do have to still get bread and cold cuts and I'm not a sandwich person generally, but it has just turned out that it's more convenient for me when I'm making lunch for shows to make a sandwich. Though I sometimes have, since I usually have a hot water kettle in my booth, though I have misplaced a hot water kettle. I don't want to have to buy another one because I have several. But I have one that goes with the tent. And usually when I'm camping, I don't want to be carrying the hot water kettle from the tent to the venue and back again. So I have sort of two for that, but I've misplaced the one that I normally have one or the other places. So I may just bring the one I have at home, even though it's quite big. But anyway, so I still have to buy I don't buy, there's these certain wheat rolls that I can get at Walmart that make these nice long sandwich and then cut it in half, so I don't have to eat both halves right away. And I usually don't buy those until the day before I leave because they don't have huge, long, sell-by dates. And I want to, since I'm going to be gone for a number of days, I want them to last. Nothing like on the last day, opening up the bag and have the bread be moldy. You don't want that to happen. So, and then I get the cold cuts. My newest favorite is from Aldi. They've got a salami that I like. I'm trying to remember which kind of salami because there's 100 different kinds of salami. I particularly like that one. Also, there's a Italiano speck, which is sort of it's not prosciutto. It's very much like German speck. I like that one. That makes a nice sandwich too. And they also had it's almost like a Lunchable, but it's like a little container of, it was some kind of salami. And it was a decent kind of salami. Maybe a little too much pepper. I'm not a peppercorn person. Actually, pepper makes me gag. So I tend not to eat a lot of pepper. And often if I get a salami that has, the peppercorns in it, I'll just pop them out. But it had salami on one side and on the other side these slices of smoked provolone, which I love. Don't usually eat a lot of cheese in my sandwiches, but that I really liked. Let's pick that up and pull some more. So I got to make, food for the trip. It's a rough 8 to 9 hour drive, and I lose an hour because I'm going east. So I need lunch for Wednesday, and then Thursday I don't have to have a sandwich because I'll be at my campsite waiting for setup time. But Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday I'll need lunches. So sometimes I'll have ramen at my booth. I have the little cup ramens. I'll get those. I like the Trader Joe's chicken ramen. That's quite nice. And since I have the hot water kettle there, I can make the ramen. And that's, usually in the dead of summer I wouldn't do it, but as we get cooler, not that it's much cooler, it's like in the upper 70s, it's hot out right now. I came in and I was like, ugh. After moving the tent and everything back into the van. Let's see how we're doing here. Well, maybe a little more. It's hard to tell because it's merino top. So you think there isn't much there, and then you're like, oh my goodness, it's 3 ounces. And that was pretty clear that was getting full there. I might have enough to do a second one of these. This will show up on YouTube as well. I may even, immediately after I'm done, I may pop on and just transfer it over because I like to post unedited. Who has time to edit? I don't. I still need to get things up into my Wafa album from Saturday's sale. It was a good sale. Sold about half of what I had. Which also means I need to be making more bats. Because, you know, Bloomington Festival, leaving on Wednesday. A lot of bats in my booth. We're getting more of the beige and the green on this. Also gotta go to the library. My laptop doesn't have Acrobat on it, and I need to accept a contract, but to do that I need Acrobat to like download it and sign it and all this other stuff. So got the library on my list probably tomorrow. So they are open late tonight. What do you think? And then I've got other things I know I need to do, but can I remember them? We'll see. Okay, so we're going to break the bat now here, Doffer crease, using the Doffer stick. Hello to whoever has popped on and is watching. I don't know if you're secretly watching at work, so not expecting you to comment. I know there are people who sometimes also watch me at work with the sound off. Okay, move these out of the way. I'm going to pull out the scale. And I'm pressing down the crease. I'm not sure how big this is going to be. It might be on the smaller side. So, but this left-hand side, you're watching me backwards, by the way, because it's an Android phone. I press that down in the Doffer crease so that when this rolls back past the liquor in, it won't get stuck. Hello, Barbara. For those watching on YouTube, Barbara has just commented hi. I just did a Facebook post for the Indiana Festival with pictures of my tie-dye. So, and emphasizing that tie-dye is not just for summer. Okay, there we go. So not the thickest of them, but still pretty thick. So I'm going to weigh it. Actually, I'm going to turn the scale on first. Put the handy-dandy measuring thing there. tear it out. And then I'm off camera here. Just rolling this up. So it just looks like this. And then we're going to put it in and we're going to see how much it weighs. Oh, yeah. It's not as small as I thought it was. Does anyone want to guess? Barbara, you want to guess how much it weighs? I'll give you a second while I write down what it is. Pick something over 2 ounces though, Barbara. So that's merino top that I got from the Miller Girls. I always write down where I got something from. And then I've got wool top. And that's from Brown Sheep. And I have bamboo. My bamboo came from Paradise Fibers, which I always just do PF. And then I had Tussa Silk. And what I'm actually going to do is write Tussa Silk and Mulberry Silk. And then I say hand dyed. There's nothing above was hand dyed. Hand dyed by Blackwater Treasures. I always buy a bunch of stuff at their booth at Fiber U. And I'm going to write down that it's a layered mat. Okay, so let's see how you did. 2.6. All right. Well, you're the only one guessing, so you're closest. It is 2.84 ounces. So once I get off, I'll come back and give you some trophies, Barbara. That's what you get for tuning in. You get trophies. But it still needs a name. So if anybody watching this has an idea for a name, yeah, we want to think about the colors maybe a little. We've got the greens and blues and yellows. We'll have to think of it. I want to do Sound of Iona, but I've used that one before. I could do Sound of Iona too. Yeah, it looks like the water near the island of Iona in Scotland. That's what I was thinking about. So, yes, I'll take some photos of this later and post it up. Otherwise, I want to thank you very much for tuning in, whether you're watching this live like Barbara, or you're watching this later on Facebook, or you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you very much, and have a lovely day.